Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. It's on Locked On Vikings and Locked On Sports Minnesota. And today, more Aaron Rodgers talk. He's the opponent. He's not on the Vikings. Should he have been?
Reggie Wilson, sports director at Care 11. Aaron Rodgers, Isaiah Rodgers, do it again.
Ron Johnson, former Gophers NFL wide receiver, host of the Ron Johnson Show. And there's got to be a reason you're sending a redhead over to Ireland.
Julia Daniels, Care 11 sports reporter. He's back. Jordan Addison's back. Very exciting stuff.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's up? Welcome to our Wednesday edition of the Viking Squad Show, the Care 11 edition. So glad you're with us today. We're streaming on Locked On Vikings. Get our audio on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Luke Braun produces great daily Vikings content over there. We are brought to you this morning by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Before this show is done, we address Jordan Addison's return from suspension. What are the Vikings' expectations for this two-game European swing? But we begin with Aaron Rodgers, the opponent this week for the 2-1 Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mike Tomlin, a couple 2-1 squads playing in Dublin. We start with Ron Johnson. We talked about Aaron Rodgers all offseason. Will he be a Viking? Will he play football at all? Now that we've seen Rodgers through three, we've seen McCarthy for two, followed by an injury. We've seen Carson Wentz for a game. Now that you have a little bit of knowledge, hindsight's not always 20/20, but now that you've kind of been informed through three games, how do you feel retroactively about the decision not to go get Aaron Rodgers this offseason?
Well, you know what? I want to see Aaron Rodgers versus Vikings defense first. I mean, it's tough for me to just go out and say, go get Aaron Rodgers over McCarthy. Now, just surface, yes, I would say Aaron Rodgers is probably better than Carson Wentz. Not too much, but better than Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz looked pretty good in his debut for the Vikings. So I think Aaron Rodgers probably would have had a lot of work to do with this team, but could have gotten it done. But here's the thing. I'm doing a play breakdown for the Vikings pregame show. Already sent it. Shout out to the Vikings for getting that going because I know they got to get on the plane on Thursday. So they're working on that now, feverishly getting text messages about, hey, is this right? Is this right? We're going to film it, XYZ. The play breakdown I'm doing is only 2 plays, but they run them twice. And this is where I go with this. And he does this. He repeats himself a lot. Aaron Rodgers is an old dog that you don't need to teach new tricks to. And when you look at the way they're playing with the Steelers and the way they're doing this, it's literally like the Patriots game. 2 quick fade routes, same exact lineup, same exact everything, throws it. You fast forward to the rewind to the Jets game. Same exact motion, receiver inside trying to do the hideaway, boom, runs a corner route, does it twice and scores on it twice to different guys. And so, one, is it just the scheme that the Jets will figure out with certain defenses? And so I actually, the Vikings, this is what we're doing, saying Brian Flores need to keep an eye on this with Aaron Rodgers. It's almost like Aaron Rodgers finds one thing that works, and he's going to just keep doing it different ways. He does the same exact thing, and he tries to find a different guy within that same play. And so I hope Brian Flores is prepared for that. Brian Flores did another breakdown as well for us. It's on Vikings.com right now, too, and he broke down Isaiah Rodgers and some other stuff and scheme and how guys can be here. I am not going to say that Aaron Rodgers over J.J. McCarthy would have worked, but I will say Aaron Rodgers is a guy you can tell to do something, and he'll just do it. He's going to throw it. He's not going to worry about it. He's going to trust the scheme. He's going to trust the coverage, and he's willing to fit it in there. I don't know if J.J. McCarthy has that just yet where he's willing to take a chance, because the one chance he did take was a pick six, and technically it was a bad play design. And so I hope that when he comes back, he's not thinking about that. I saw a baseball quote that said, in order to hit 400, you got to produce 60 outs within 100 at-bats. 60 outs. So those 60 outs aren't bad. Those are just 60 outs that had to happen in order for you to hit 400. And so JJ McCarthy, hopefully he learns that there's going to be growing pains with this. And that one interception is probably going to lead to 2 to 3 touchdowns later, because he's going to take that same chance. He's going to drive that ball in there, and that DB's not going to break on it because there's going to be other stuff within the scheme. And so we'll see. But if he comes back to the Eagles game and he doesn't look great, then we can revisit this.
Yeah, Julia, if you knew that there would be growing pains at this level, and the injury notwithstanding, like the 2 games we did see, it looked like this was going to be a process for J.J. McCarthy. Had you known that the growing pains would kind of be this indefinite period of time, does that change how you would have approached the offseason?
No, I mean, I've always expected there to be growing pains when it came to J.J. McCarthy taking over this offense. I think it all comes down to the ultimate goal that the Vikings have, and that's that they didn't want a short-term solution anymore for quarterback. They want a long-term solution for quarterback, and I think that they understand that takes time. I think that is the difference between making a decision on Aaron Rodgers or JJ McCarthy. It's they were ready to take that step. They're ready to take that leap of faith. And I think that, this is a NFL organization, so they understand the risk that comes with taking a chance on a young guy who's never played a snap in the NFL before this season. And they know that there's going to be times where he's just going to have to learn. And it's like Ron said, it's trial and error until it works out. And even TJ Hawkinson said that last week when he was talking, and he said, it's just doing it over and over and over again until all 11 guys on the field, finally it clicks. And so I think it's just, I think the expectation, and we've talked about this all the time, you have your Jaden Daniels and your CJ Stroud and your guys that come in their rookie year and have this phenomenal season, but that's, in the grand scheme of the NFL quarterback and the history of the position, those are outliers. That's not something that happens all the time. You don't have these phenomenal seasons being that young. And it doesn't always necessarily promise longevity either. I mean, CJ Stroud isn't having the best year ever. So I think it's just something that happens when you have a young guy at quarterback. You're going to have some patience, and he's going to have to figure it out. And the only way for that to really happen is with real-time experience. And so I don't think it comes down to should they have picked Aaron Rodgers for this season or JJ McCarthy. I think it all just came down to what the Vikings wanted long-term for their organization. And long-term, I think they're hoping to invest and have some patience with the younger quarterback.
Yeah, Reg, after Aaron Rodgers beat the Jets in week 1, he was pretty vocal. He said, I wanted to beat anybody associated with the Jets, and I'm a little concerned he's going to wear that chip and say, hey, the Vikings didn't want me. They didn't want me. He's already got plenty of reason not to like the Vikings from his 20 years with the Packers, but could be a little chip on the shoulder situation on Sunday.
Yeah, but that's Aaron Rodgers, though, right? He's always had a chip on his shoulder. He's played his whole career with a chip on his shoulder. Here's the thing. One thing that Vikings game showed me on Sunday is that this is a win now roster. Like, they are constructed to win now. So here's the thing. With Aaron Rodgers, are they probably undefeated right now? Maybe. Are they maybe a 12, 13, 14 win team with Aaron Rodgers this year? Probably. But as Julia said, you got this young quarterback that you traded up a spot to take in JJ McCarthy, and it was just going to present growing pains. It's interesting. Similar to what we saw with Kurt Warner and Eli Manning, now Russell Wilson gets benched in New York, and Jackson Dart is going to get the start. I don't think it's going to be as pretty as people may think it's going to be, because he's a rookie. He's going to take his lumps, and he played wonderfully in the preseason, but that was preseason. That was against some guys that, maybe practice squad players, maybe the UPS workers, maybe insurance sales agents right now. Like, this is now the real thing. And so when you get in the real thing, as you saw, a quarterback is going to have his ups and downs. We saw a great fourth quarter from JJ McCarthy against the Bears. And then that game against the Falcons, I don't know what that was. But here's the thing. I don't know that any quarterback would have necessarily had great success in that game, because there was no time to throw, really. he was under duress quite a bit. And he's still just a young quarterback trying to figure it out. So that's why this injury sucks, because what I said last week still holds true. He just needs to play. And the longer that he's not playing, the longer his growth and development gets stunted, because they still have to go through these growing pains of a young quarterback. I think that he has the tools, and I think he has the play caller to become something and get it together. But as, again, Bruce Arians said, you don't get better standing on the side holding the clipboard. And that's where they are right now with J.J. McCarthy. So I don't think that Aaron Rodgers would have been the best option based on what they want to do long term. But I do think maybe short term, they probably do have a season of 12, 13, 14 wins and make the playoffs and maybe even win a playoff game. And now with what we're seeing in that quarterback situation, I'm not sure if that's the case per se, but like J.J. McCarthy has to heal up and play so that we can see what this guy has.
Yeah, I mean, his mental fortitude is being tested like very few other 22-year-old QBs. Mental fortitude has been tested with going through the whole year of injury rehab, right? And then listening to the Rodgers rumors in the offseason, then knowing the expectations of this win-now roster. Now, I'm sure he's aware that people are whispering, is Carson Wentz going to take over? Is Carson Wentz going to be the quarterback after the bye? What do you think? You think that's going to happen? We're talking about it. A lot of people are talking about it. It's a legitimate conversation if Carson Wentz goes into Europe and sweeps these two games. That's what we'll get into next. What are the expectations? And if the Vikings don't win these two, is this a failed trip across the pond? It's next on the Squad Show. It's a Squad Show brought to you by FanDuel. Today, they're making sure you're ready for the NFL season as we get into week 4. You can still bet $5 and get $300. That promotion's still ongoing. Bet 5, win that bet, and get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Find a good money line. Look at Major League Baseball, some really juicy ones this time of year. Win the $5 bet, get $300 in bonus bets. You can put on the NFL slate if you want. You can put it on the Vikings -2.5. You can put it on the over-under 40.5. Passing props, rushing props, receiving props, all available 4 days in advance before that Vikings-Steelers game. Check it all out at FanDuel Sportsbook app or FanDuel.com. Lots of ways to find those lines and sign up at FanDuel and place your first $5 bet. And thanks to the everydayers who watch us throughout the week. You're on Locked On Vikings and Locked On Sports Minnesota with Ron Johnson on Tuesdays. We'll have Arif Hassan, Luke Braun, and Luke Inman back in the mix tomorrow. So Vikings headed out, I think Ron said tomorrow night they're going to Ireland, and they'll practice Friday and then probably do a walkthrough. And then on Sunday morning, our time, they'll play against the Steelers. This feels, Julia, like a pivotal 2 games. You got to bank wins now with what's coming after the bye. You got to bank wins now. You also watched the Lions shellac the Ravens on Monday night. The Lions are back. Their demise was greatly exaggerated. The Packers are not a slouch. The Bears looked good in their win against the Cowboys. This is a good division. Once again, you cannot slip up against the Steelers or the Browns. To me, I think that it's a failed experiment. Like if you go and you lose one of these games, you say, we shouldn't have done the 2-game Europe thing. That was dumb. Like you got to win both games here in Europe, I think, to make this trip a success.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you get one win and it's a success. Obviously, the Vikings are the first team to ever do this. It would be the cherry on top should they sweep their series across the pond. But I think one win and you can consider it a success. Yes, I do think the NFC North is one of, if not the hardest division in football right now. But I'm not going to say that the trip is a complete failure if they don't get 2 wins when they're over there. I think the Steelers are going to be a really, really tough team to beat. Obviously, both teams deal with the jet lag and this, that, and the other, especially when it comes to week 1. But I think that the Vikings have a little bit of an edge on the Browns if they're going to be already over there, adjusted and ready to go. I don't know exactly the schedule that when they're going. I mean, it's not like it's far anyways from Dublin to London, but I think the first game will be the hardest for them, just as expected. And then game 2 is where maybe they have a little bit of edge on their competition. But no, I don't consider it a complete. I mean, it's so early in the season too. I think that the placement of this trip helps them out a little bit too. And that it's not easy to go over across the pond and play 2 games when you're over there. But I mean, and you're out of because we talk about the jet lag and this, that, and the other, but they're also out of their facility. They're not in their facility like they would be on any other road week. And so they have to spend a whole week somewhere else adjusting to everything and working out in a different space. And their entire schedule gets messed up. And if you guys, I mean, we know everything about these players and how OCD they are about their work ethic every day and how their schedule goes. And so that's all different when you go over there and you spend that much time across the pond. So there's an adjustment process that happens with this. I don't consider it a complete bust if they lose one of these games, but I do consider it a complete bust if they lose both of them. Yes.
Yeah, Reggie, I mean, I think it's possible that in a couple months we read a piece from Alec Lewis in The Athletic that says, yeah, the Vikings bonded in Europe. That was where the season turned. Carson Wentz, got to know his teammates, and he really took the leadership role at quarterback. Like, this could be a really good thing. But these are 2 winnable games, and you've got a brutal stretch out of the bye. That's why I think this is vital to bank W's now, because you're going to need wiggle room later on, especially if McCarthy comes back and has to go through some more growing pains. You got to have a little bit of money in the bank going into that October stretch.
Yeah, they bonded over fish and chips across the pond. No, I think it's interesting. Like we're already at week 3, week 4. We're like, yeah, it's a failure if they go over there and they don't handle their business. I think that's putting a lot on it, Sam. Don't you think? I don't know.
It's a short season, buddy. It's a short.
I know.
Every week's a must win.
I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, that is true. But no, this game against the Steelers is going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough, especially just considering, and Julia knows, like, we were kind of kicking it around in our group chat yesterday. Like, man, we were kind of surprised that the Vikings were going to go on Wednesday and Thursday here and then leave. Like, I know they know best as far as what works for their schedule and all that, but that's quite a bit crammed into a short amount of time, and then you play on Sunday. And so I'm interested to see what they look like in that game. And so that one's going to be tough. But I do think, and I think actually the Browns game is going to be tougher than maybe people might think. You see what they did to the Packers. I know a lot of people were like, well, the Packers just played uncharacteristic. That Browns defense is ferocious. And Myles Garrett had the left tackle like, Jordan, run. Did you guys see that? Like, Myles Garrett beat the left tackle, and all he had for Jordan Love was Jordan, run, because Myles Garrett is chasing after you. And it just became this like funny fodder on social media. But the quarterback situation leaves a lot to be desired in Cleveland. And that's what makes you feel like maybe the Vikings have the edge there. But it's not going to be easy on either of those games. When I first saw the schedule and saw that they were going to go on these international trips back to back like that, I was like, really? What was the thought behind that? Like, why are they doing that? That doesn't seem like it's necessarily fair. But maybe they know better than we do.
Ron, I don't know if you're willing to go as far as me and can call these must wins, but to fulfill your prophecy of Vikings being 4-1, going in and facing the undefeated Eagles in week 7, they got to get these 2.
Yeah, I was just looking at my prediction from the Vikings.com. It's still up there, people, if you guys want to go watch it back, myself and Tatum Everett. And when I look at this prediction, you're right, Sam, I had them going 4-1 into the bye. I then also had the Eagles a loss. Chargers, I had a win. Lions, loss. Ravens is the question mark for me. But then Bears was a win. Packers was a loss. And that actually could be a win now. So when you look at this, like, Is it a failure if they don't win both? I'd say a little bit. I do, because you're right, Sam. These are winnable games. You do have most of your team back, and then you got Seahawks. That should be a win. Commanders should be a win. Cowboys should be a win. Giants should be a win. And then Lions potentially a loss at the end of the season. Then Packers last game of the year. Again, a toss-up. So when you look at, like, if you really want to be 12-5 or 11-6, these two games matter, because this stretch of games when you got the Lions, Chargers, Eagles, Ravens, that's a tough stretch of 4 that could potentially be an 0-4 like stretch. It's easily could be an 0-4 stretch. The Ravens are putting a lot of points on the board. The Chargers look good. The Eagles have been the Eagles. They finally looks like they're clicking a little bit now. And then again, you go back to the Lions or the Lions. Everybody, hated on that first kind of Lions game out the gate, and they're like, "Oh man, Dan Campbell." No, they'll still put their foot on your throat and run the ball down your throat, and that's what's scary about them. So yeah, I think it would be a little, and not a failure like, "Oh, you guys suck." More of a like, these are winnable games. So if you can't win these two, that next stretch of 4 out of the bye is going to be like brutal, and then it could feel even worse, because if you go 1-2. Lose to the Steelers, beat the Browns, or vice versa, because the Browns did beat the Packers, so you can't look ahead. And then those next 4 losses, if that's J.J. McCarthy in those and he's 1-5, Sam, I think people are calling for Max Brosmer or Carson Wentz to get back in there.
Yeah, no question. The season could be defined by the next half dozen games, the 2 going into the bye and the 4 out of it. When we come back, Jordan Addison returns from suspension. What's the ripple effect on the offense, and what does it mean for Adam Thielen? We answer that on the other side. We're brought to you today by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Unbelievably stylish, unbelievably comfortable. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Gotta talk number 3, who has been freed now from suspension. He is back. Jordan Addison rejoins the Vikings. Reggie, we were saying a month ago, Adam Thielen's wide receiver 2, and I don't know if that he's going to give that up. He might just be your wide receiver 2, even when Addison comes back. Now after seeing 3 games of a pretty unproductive Adam Thielen, I feel like there's no question that Addison becomes your number 2, and maybe some question as to whether Naylor supersedes Thielen. Is Thielen going to take a back seat now and be your wide receiver 4? Take us through your ripple effects. What is this going to mean for the Vikings now with Addison back in the mix?
Yeah, I think it was interesting when the chatter first happened about bringing Adam Thielen back, because I always wondered, like, okay, I get it. It's 3 games that Jordan Addison is going to miss, but 3 is free now. 3 is free. And now what does this mean for Adam Thielen? And he didn't necessarily set the world on fire in those 3 games without Jordan Addison. And Speedy looks good. So I think maybe this drops Thielen to maybe wide receiver 4 in the system, which you could have a worse wide receiver 4. That's just like an embarrassment of riches at that point. And maybe a little bit of the pressure is off Thielen a little bit to succeed as much, because maybe it seemed and felt like maybe he's been pressing a little bit too much to show and prove himself now that he's back. And so honestly, I think Jordan Addison had a great camp. Julia knows this. We were watching it the whole time. He was having a great camp. And this 3-game suspension just seemed to really kind of halt some momentum with him. But I think he's going to come back motivated and ready to go. And I think he's still in for a big year. And so he's going to be a very great weapon for Carson Wentz to have early, and then J.J. McCarthy eventually when he gets back. And I'm interested to see what it looks like with the offense fully together, especially once Aaron Jones comes back as well. with all of the weapons that are at the arsenal of whoever's playing quarterback. But Addison definitely puts a lot of pressure on defenses. I'm sure Justin Jefferson is super happy that Addison is back as well. Maybe he doesn't see as much bracket coverage, even though that wasn't necessarily the case last year. But I'm sure just to have his guy back, he's excited for that too. I just don't see any downside to Addison being back.
Yeah, Ron, I mean, the Steelers have Ramsey, right? That was one of their big trades. They've got Joey Porter. They've got Darius Slay. I mean, they've got some names in that secondary. Having Addison, though, it does mitigate. If they're going to shut down Jefferson with one or two guys, now you've got that other top threat, that speed threat on offense that can run around. And I don't know if he's built up any chemistry with Carson Wentz. Probably zero to this point, so that could be a problem. All his chemistry was with J.J. McCarthy, but I think this is a positive boost nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a positive boost. And when you look at what the Jets did, nothing against the Jets and what's his name, Justin Fields. I wouldn't put Justin Fields as one of the greats right now. Only threw for 218 yards, but 18 for 22, so 16 for 22, so extremely efficient. You look at his passer rating, 119.1, a touchdown, no interceptions. Now Aaron Rodgers on the other side. I mean, I did do this play breakdown. He had 4 touchdowns, so that's one of the ones coming up. But when you look at what the Jets were able to do with Garrett Wilson and their receivers and the ability to just move the ball, up the field, they used the running back a little bit as well. So, when you think about Xavier Scott in the pass game, you think about Jordan Mason in the pass game as well. It's a huge add to have Jordan Addison back. Why? Because Jalen Ramsey probably wants to run with Justin Jefferson as much as he can. Like, he's going to want to make this a signature game. The same way he took Garrett Wilson and said, "Coach, let me free." But here's the thing about the Steelers. They run a ton of cover to Tampa. Like, they run a ton of zone. And that's why Jalen Ramsey had so many big hits and big plays, is because he gets to just prowl the field and hope that you make a mistake. And so the best thing for Carson Wentz is a veteran guy that understands the zone, understands how to attack the zone. The best way to attack the zone is having multiple options. And now you got Addison, you got Jefferson, you got Naylor, you got Hawkinson that look good, you got a running back, and you still have Adam Thielen. And I think that's what it comes down to is Carson Wentz, the best thing going for him is he doesn't really have one guy he loves to throw to. He's going to go to everybody. He's going to go to who's open. He's going to go to the scheme. And I hope that Kevin O'Connell uses Justin Jefferson, not say as a decoy, but just, hey, if they don't want to honor the over, you got Jordan Addison on the deep post, man. Take it because the kid can make plays. And so that's what they've been missing. They've been missing, like Jalen Naylor is supposed to be speedy, but they weren't using it. They weren't using him to take the top off on the post with Justin Jefferson on an over. For some reason, I don't know if it's just scheme or like Naylor's not in that. Addison, that seems like that's what they do with him a lot. He takes the deep ball a lot when Justin Jefferson has that deep over, and the hope is that the safety jumps Justin Jefferson, and then you got Addison running wide down the field. So, yeah, his return, I think, is huge. It's going to be a huge boost. And, yeah, I think Adam Thielen does go to wide receiver 4. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, he didn't have a great showing in the first couple games. The confidence doesn't seem to be there just yet. It's kind of maybe just nerves, a lot of pressure being back home. You see 3 deep and all this stuff. You got Jake Reed at the games. Like, there's a lot of pressure that came with that. So, and it was a big move in the middle of the year. Even though he's coming back home, still a big move and a lot of pressure, a lot more people around him family-wise than it was probably in the past couple years with the Panthers. So hopefully being overseas even, he can get away from all this like stuff here, because Adam Thielen has had some great games overseas. And so maybe this is the Thielen return we were waiting for.
Yeah, a lot of noise for sure, Julia, around Thielen. Addison returns now. What do you think happens going forward? Can this offense unlock now another level in the passing game, which they haven't really shown yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jordan Addison is obviously wide receiver 2, and he, I think, when we've had this rotating door of quarterbacks, a lot of them have felt very comfortable having Jordan Addison out there, which for good reason. But you see them utilize him sometimes. I mean, like in training camp, we obviously didn't see Justin Jefferson hardly at all during training camp, but Jordan Addison made the quarterbacks comfortable when he was out there. He was like the driving factor in the passing game because he was the guy when it came to training camp with Justin Jefferson out. But when I'm looking at all the depth charts, Adam Thielen is wide receiver 4 on anything I can find on the internet. And so that makes sense to me too. He's an older guy. Guys, he's not that old. He's only 35. He's an older guy for a wide receiver in the league. And, he's coming back. And these other 3 guys have been consistently with this system for a few years now compared to him, even though obviously he has history. But I think it's going to be really great for Carson Wentz. I like that point that you made, Ron, about the fact that he doesn't have just like one guy that he goes to. And I think that that's what his experience as well. And obviously the ability that he has to adjust to new teams and new systems just from how much he has bounced around in the league. And so I think it's like we talked about how they created this offense around JJ McCarthy. They gave him all these weapons, like Reggie said, an embarrassment of riches. And Carson Wentz is a guy who, utilizing that strength, he's coming into one of the most loaded offenses that he's ever been a part of before. And so it's just an added layer having Jordan Addison out there. I think we've talked about it since he was drafted. The reason that they drafted him is because they wanted to have somebody else that would pull coverage, or that Justin Jefferson can be double and triple teamed, and then Jordan Addison's out there too. And so I think it's nothing but good can come from Jordan Addison being back this week. And I know Vikings fans are excited to see him back out there.
Will Jordan Addison go ahead?
I will say, Sam, to Ron's point, dude, Justin Jefferson against Jalen Ramsey is going to be must-see TV, because he always finds a way to get underneath the skin. Like, I know he said he used to hit up people's girlfriends on Instagram before games just to already get a mental edge. And he talks and he says some really below the belt things and talks real greasy to these receivers. I'm interested to see how, if at all, it affects Justin Jefferson on Sunday.
And Justin Jefferson can give it right back too. I think that's going to be there might be some yellow laundry on the field between those two. I'm here for the theater. Let's see if Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison make their way into our bold predictions or FanDuel locks, which are next after a very short pause. All right, let's get bold. Vikings in Dublin on Sunday morning. Let's start with Ron Johnson. Give me a bold prediction, 1 minute each.
Oh, my bold prediction over there. I'm going to go Jordan Addison 50+ yards.
Is that bold, Ron?
Oh, wait, no, that's the locks. Sorry, that's the locks. Sorry,
yeah.
Let me go bold. Sorry, wrong segment. I was going with my locks. So bold prediction, Carson Wentz. I'm going to go Carson Wentz 200. Oh, it's because Steelers. Let's see. Let's go 250 yards passing plus and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's bold enough for me.
There you go. 250 and 2 touchdowns. Yep.
All right, Julia.
I'm going to go Josh Oliver and TJ Hawkinson are going to have a touchdown this week.
I mean, that just happened, so could happen again.
Yeah.
The Vikings. The Vikings scored 48 points on Sunday, and they did not have a touchdown from a receiver. How crazy is that?
That's why I'm saying they're going to go.
Sad times. Sad times.
I mean,
sad for the receivers.
Is it that bold, I guess, if you have your backup?
The world is coming to an end.
Man. Reg, get bold on us.
All right, I got Jordan Addison, 100 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Those 2 touchdowns that Carson Wentz is going to throw that Ron said, those are going to go to Jordan Addison. 3 is free.
I am predicting major takeaway regression. Both these teams had 5 takeaways in their last game. I think we have a turnover-free game, just a clean football game.
Oh, wow.
I think that would end, by the way. I think it would end at least a 20 games regular season streak for the Vikings of having a takeaway, because they had every game last year and then all 3 this year. And I don't know about the end of 23, but The Vikings have a pretty substantial takeaway streak going. I think it ends. I think it ends on Sunday. I think both teams hang on to the ball. It's going to come down to who executes better. We get into our FanDuel locks, and here are the updated standings. I have the notes here. I think we are all 1-2 with our records. Last
Except
week,
Reggie's on 3.
Oh, Reggie's 0-3.
This is why I don't bet, man. This is brutal.
I mean, Reggie took a big swing last week. He said there would be overtime, and there wasn't overtime. So that was a loss.
There was undertime.
We needed a running clock. Yeah. Ron had a pretty easy win. 10.5 points for the first half over on the Vikings. I think it hit. I think it hit. They had 34. Julia had the first scoring play, a Vikings field goal. That was actually a touchdown, so that did not hit. I took Hawkinson over yardage. That did hit. That's my first win of the year.
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, we're making money. We get into it this week. Let's go with Julia. Give me a lock.
No, I'm doing something crazy. I just clicked on this and I was looking. Each team to score at least a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown in each half is plus 35,000.
35,000. So they each need 28 points minimum in the game, 2 touchdowns per half. Yeah, I get it. 30 what was it? 38,000, 35,000?
35,000.
You taking it?
Cash in.
Passing and rushing TD each half. That's the key there. That's the key that it's got to happen in each half. So Julia's going to go with the craziest bet on the board. Reggie, what do you got?
All right, man. I got to hit on something one day. You would think, right? I'm going to try to go easier here. Jordan Mason, first touchdown scored, plus 420.
Jordan Mason, plus 420. Ron Johnson.
I'm going anytime touchdown scores, Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf, both at plus 150. So if I load them up, $10 wins me 51. That's a plus 517 if you put them together. So $10 gets me 51.72. You do the math, people. $100 wager, $517.17. Book it.
Beautiful.
I might have to drive over to Iowa just to put that one down.
Forgot they had Metcalf. Metcalf is a baller. Yeah. I'm going to incorporate our guy, Jordan Addison. They've set a pretty modest over-under on Jordan at 45.5. I mean, this is...
That's why I was going to say 50 yards when I originally said it, but I switched it up.
You know, when it's TJ Hawkinson at 45.5, you have to consider that's probably that's at least 4 receptions. With Jordan Addison, that could be 1 reception because he's a burner. He could get deep. He's got yak possibility.
Yep.
So I like the chances of them drawing up a shot play for Jordan Addison. And,
75 yards on one play.
I think it could happen. I should probably find the adjusted line on Jordan Addison and see what, let's see, alt receiving yards. So if I wanted 50, like Ron mentioned, that'd be 106. If I wanted 100 yards, that'd be plus 750. That's really where the money is. So why don't we bump that up? Let's take a 100-yard game for Jordan Addison at plus 750. He's going to debut this season in style. Plus 750. And Sammy gets paid. You can check out the Care 11 crew on Care 11 Sports. Watch Julia, watch Reggie, and watch the Ron Johnson Show on Tuesdays with our pal, Ron Johnson, at 3Ron Johnson on X, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. This is the Vikings Squad Show. We do this Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and after the games. We are all over the place on Locked On Vikings, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot, and we will talk to you soon.